Wassup Agents, Epic Slayers here, welcome back to a brand new Division video. So since the Division 2 was obviously announced, I've got a list of things that I wanted to discuss with you guys. One of those is surrounding RNG in the Division 2, and of course I want to talk about the Division 1 and how I don't agree with RNG in the game. Now, this is going to go one of two ways depending on who you are as a person. So it will either go the way of I am a crybaby, salty, self-entitled YouTuber, Division player, whatever, or you will completely understand where I'm coming from, you will agree with the points that I'm making, and you will either agree with the ways I think it should be changed, or you will have your own ideas, which will probably end up being better than mine. Either way, I want you just to bear that in mind when you are listening to this video, because there will be two types of people on this. So, with that said, let's get into it. Okay, so I want to start off by saying that like most of you who are playing the Division right now, I would say probably 95% plus of you who are watching my videos who are playing the Division right now are day one players. People, either you've been playing day one or you haven't, but you've amassed a lot of time in the game like me. Now, I've probably got about 110 days in this game, between 2,500 to 3,000 hours. Now, that doesn't entitle me to the best gear, doesn't entitle me to the best weapon, but I think that if you put that much time into a game, you deserve something in return. Something we never got from, obviously, the season drops, and something we do not get from RNG in this game, which is what this video is all about. And I'm pretty sure the people here already know what I'm going to talk about, so take your hands off the keyboard and stop typing and listen to what I've got to say. So, with all that time in the game, you'd expect that I've probably got the best gear in the game, or at least I've got the meta builds at the moment, which would be Striker, Nomad, and then of course we've got Predator's Mark. Now, me personally, I've played all the global events, I've played the most recent two global events, and the only meta build that I've been able to actually amass, or 6 pieces of, is Nomad, and I've probably got well over 6 pieces of Nomad. I've not been able to get 6-piece Striker, I've not been able to get 6-piece Predator. Now, for anyone who's been watching me for some time, you'll know that I don't tend to play with meta builds in general. I enjoy just playing with loads of other builds and just, you know, really just enjoying myself with the game. But that said, it would be nice that for all the time that I've put into these global events, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have as well, that I would have the RNG to actually get 6-piece Striker or 6-piece Predator. Now, my opinion is this. If you put in, for example, if I open 80 caches of a global event, I expect to get 6 pieces. I expect to get all the gear sets and 6 pieces of all of them. Because 80 caches is a hell of a lot of time playing the game to get those, and I don't think it should all be about luck. I really don't. I think there needs to be somewhat, for example, like commendations. If you put in a lot of time, you will get commendations, and every global event has masks that are tied to them. And I appreciate that. If you put in the time, you get masks, you get a commendation, but you don't get the gear that you want. Not really, unless you're really lucky. You do not get the gear that you want, which ultimately is what's going to keep you playing the game. You're not going to play the game if you've got a pig mask on, but you're getting melted. You know, you're getting slaughtered like a pig. You're not going to want to play the game. And the point, and I don't know if this is just because of the meta in the game at the moment. I hate using that word, but it's true. I don't know if it's because of that, but people will not play the game if they have to rely on luck to get gear. I mean, they'll play the game up to an extent, and then after that point, when they feel as though they've played enough, they're going to stop playing. And now, I haven't done that. I have grinded my ass off for the first 4 global events, and then the 2 most recent, and of course the 2 most recent being Striker and Predator. I've still not completed the 6 pieces of Predator or Striker. And this is where, you know, some of you will be going, well, you know, you're a crybaby, and some of you going, yeah, I know where you're coming from. There needs to be rewards for people who actually put in a lot of time. There needs to be, for example, if you get this unlocked or you play this amount of time or whatever, then you get this weapon, or you get to choose a piece of gear that you're missing, for example. And I know they're going to be introducing, obviously, classified gear set caches in 1.8.1, and I do think that's come really late. I like the idea, but I do think it's come very, very late, and they're obviously increasing the classified gear set drop rate from 3% to 6%, which, again, is only... I don't think it's that much of a change, really, if you're a solo player like me. If you're playing in a group, then yeah, it's massive. But if you're playing solo, that doesn't really make any difference, just doubling the drop rate. It really doesn't make any difference if you're just going from one piece of gear. But at the moment, there's really no reward for putting time in, apart from you've got more opportunities to get the gear because you have more opportunities to open gear, but it's all about luck at the end of the day. I know people who have played far less than me who have got 6-piece Striker and 6-piece Predator and 6-piece Nomad, and yeah, they haven't got some of the other gear, but I have only actually completed, I think, 3 gear sets, and that is Nomad, Nomads. What else have I completed? Nomads, Lone Star, and I think I've completed Final Measure as well. I'm not sure. I can't remember about that. But considering there are 14 gear sets, I've only completed 3 and I put this much time in. I mean, I think there needs to be something in the Division 2 which basically says, look, if you put this much time in, then you should be rewarded with this. You know, if you go into an activity and do this, this is what you're rewarded with. You know, you are rewarded for putting time in, and it's not all about luck. Because at the moment, it's all about luck. Now, as I said, I am not a meta person. If you watch my videos, then you'll know that I just play with whatever, and I just like to have a laugh. But I've not actually been able to test Striker or Predator. All of my opinions about these gear sets are completely from what I've seen, but I've not actually been able to test it myself because I've not got the gear. And even if I did have the gear, yes, I would use it, but I would still use the, you know, the non-meta stuff, as it were, at this present time. So, I mean, I want your guys' opinion. What do you think? Do you think it's fine the way it is in respect of RNG? Because I personally think that the only people benefiting from this are people that just get a little bit lucky. I mean, at the end of the day, the Division, sorry, is being upheld by people who have played it for a very long time and who have, you know, their passion is in this game. It's not people who've just come on and, you know, they've played a little bit, got bored because they couldn't get the best gear, or they're so far behind and left. It's people like me, it's people like you that are probably watching this video that are keeping this game alive. And I don't think it's fair that, you know, we're not rewarded with the gear that we want when we've put enough time in to get that gear. That's just my opinion. Like I said, there will be two people here. There'll be the person that says, you know, I'm self-entitled and crybaby, and I get that. I really do, because if I was watching someone else doing that, I may be thinking that myself. But actually, I'm probably the other person that thinks, well, you know, I kind of agree with you here, because I've put in a lot of time myself. I know people who've put in 5,000 hours, and they don't have those completed sets. But then there's other people who've only put in 400 hours who have all 3 of those. I mean, that's not fair. And I get it, right? It's a loot shooter. That's how it should be. But I don't know. I just think that at the moment, you're not really rewarded for the time that you put into the game at all. And I think in the Division 2, they really need to change that. Now, I don't know what system they can implement in the Division 2 to basically change that. Because I do think that there still needs to be an element of luck. There needs to be an element of grind. Because it's always nice when something drops and it's a surprise. I remember when the Division first came out and the Midas was like the king high end. It was broken, and if you got one, honestly, you were the daddy. But I remember in the day, when it first came out and you used to get high ends, they used to be so infrequent to drop in. When you got one and you were in the dark zone, for example, it was so scary because you knew you had to get that out. And if someone knew you had it, you were going to be taken down. They were going rogue. I remember those days, and I kind of want the Division 2 to go back to those days where, you know, we didn't have classified gear. I'm going off from a completely different tangent here, but the point is that at the moment there needs to be a system in the Division 2 which, you know, basically says to people, look, if you put in this much time, if you grind and you work your ass off, you are going to be rewarded with this. Because at the moment, that's not what's in the Division 1. It's all about, well, you could put in this much time, but someone could put in far less time than you and get exactly the same benefits that you are. I don't think that's fair. But anyway, hopefully you did enjoy this one. If you've got any ideas for the Division 2 that might be able to change that system, please let me know in the comments section below. Thank you for all your support on the recent videos, because it's absolutely awesome, and I'm looking forward to covering the Division 2. Hopefully you are looking forward to the gameplay that we're probably going to see at E3 in July or June, July, I can't remember, of this year. But anyway, thanks again. Until the next one, Epic out.